Welcome to Swoop Podcast, and here are your hosts, Dante Fantuzzi and Josh Sanchez.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Swoop Podcast. It's your guest for the night, Dante Fantuzzi. I'm here with my partner,
Josh Sanchez.
And today we're going to have some interesting topics for you, so you're going to want to listen very closely. Our first topic, we're going to hit about the NFL draft. Me and my partner were thinking about, we did do our own mock draft, but that was a while ago, so now we're going to give an up-to-date, not an up-to-date mock draft because it's just going to take too long, but an up-to-date pick you think the Eagles would take. So, Josh, who do you think the Eagles would take with the 14th pick?
With the 14th pick in the NFL draft, I think the Philadelphia Eagles should select Reuben Foster, linebacker out of Alabama. He does have his off-the-field problems, but we can have a solidified person in the middle, big, strong, sure tackler right in the middle, move Hicks to the outside, and move Kendricks on the other outside. And that'll
Bradham.
Oh, Bradham, my fault. Bradham, my bad. Instead of Kendricks, my bad. Thanks for correcting me. And then we'll have a nice front seven that can really change the outcome of games. I really think Reuben Foster has superstar potential. Another Alabama linebacker, C.J. Mosley. Mm-hmm. Remember when he got drafted a couple years ago with the Ravens?
Yeah. I
thought he was going to be a stud, and look how he's turned out. He's turned out to be one of the best inside linebackers
in the
league.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people, the Ravens, they haven't been like the playoff team as usual, but he's been a perfect guy to replace Ray Lewis, and he's young, and he's something to build on that defense.
Whoa. Can't nobody replace Ray Lewis?
No one can replace Ray Lewis.
Nobody can replace the man.
But I see a lot of C.J. Mosley in Reuben Foster, and I think the Eagles should take a chance on him. I would be happy if we either go pass rusher too. I wouldn't be or corner.
I feel like we can hold off on pass rusher for the time being.
I agree.
Since we signed Chris Long, I think that'll give us a couple years to give us some time before we actually go to solidify the position for about the next 10 to 12 years in drafting a younger guy. But with the draft pick, though, I can't disagree with you anymore. I really like Reuben Foster. He's a tackling machine. There's not much to say about him, that he's just a tackling machine. Like, the guy is a very good linebacker.
110 tackles, right?
Exactly. And, he's crazy in the head. The guy's just crazy in the head, bro. And then, like Josh said, it'll put Hicks on the outside. We'll rat him on the other side. With what's his name again, bro?
Kendricks. You can flow.
No, not Kendricks. Forget Kendricks. I wouldn't. I think
Reuben Foster.
Reuben Foster would be in the middle, but Kendricks should be gone by. I think he's gonna be gone by the beginning of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I can see that.
Like, I think that with a great front seven, it'll definitely ease up the pressure on our corners. Because with the great front seven, we can keep Kendricks, but
just have him rotate.
I think the only thing Kendricks can really be good at, which is the only thing he's probably good at, is rushing the quarterback. I think that's the only thing that he can really actually do good in the Jim Schwartz system. But he's really not the best for the system. That's probably the only thing he can do, though. Is just rush the rush the quarterback.
Now, if we did go pass rusher, or we did go cornerback, would you be fine with that, or do you want linebacker?
I wouldn't take a pass rusher in the first round, because I think there's only probably going to be the two best pass rushers in the first round will probably be gone within the first two picks.
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett and Solomon.
Yeah.
But personally, I wouldn't. I don't think I would go pass rusher in the situation that they're at. Derek Barnett, I think he's a iffy. He's just iffy to me. I really don't know too much about him. And, it's just something about him that just scares me. And, cornerback, I wouldn't mind cornerback. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't bother me. Because probably, this draft class in the cornerback position is so deep.
Yeah, and we haven't drafted a cornerback since 2002.
Yeah, since Shepard.
But
I think that since this class is so deep in cornerback, we can hold off around.
Mm-hmm.
And we can actually find, a good corner in the second and third round that has the potential to be a shutdown corner. So I just think because it's so deep, we can actually hold off. But Reuben Foster, though, like, when I see him and I actually watch him play and watch his highlight tape and his highlight reel, he looks like a 2.0 Ray Lewis to me.
Yeah.
Like, he's just there. Like, he's there. He makes the plays. He's dirty. He gets down and dirty. He's probably just as crazy as Ray Lewis. So, like, if, like, that was...
History does repeat itself.
It doesn't. Like, if that was to pan out the way, like, I'm predicting it to, would you pass up on a Ray Lewis?
And we're in the NFC East where
There's Ezekiel
Elliott.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to need somebody to stop him.
Yeah.
I mean, but then
even
again,
the
though,
Washington running backs are nice.
they're okay, but I don't think they're as good as Ezekiel Elliott. But see, one thing, though, about Ezekiel Elliott is that he's not going to have that great of an offensive line that he had last year. Remember, the names off the top of my head are just not going to come. But I know one of their linemen retired, and the other one left. So you lose 2 linemen in 1 year. So definitely that line's not going to be as strong as it once was.
Maybe not as depth, but they still have the pieces. They still have the big-name guys on the offensive line. They still have Zach Martin. They still have
Doug Free and
they,
Tyron Smith,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. They still have those big pieces on their line. So I don't really think they'll
but you could make the same case for the Eagles, though. And our line didn't do as good as it normally. Like, our line wasn't that good last year. Like, last year,
we
had Peters, we had Kelsey, and we had Brooks.
Yeah, and
Brooks did get hurt.
Yeah.
But those 3 pieces, because remember, Lane Johnson got suspended.
Yeah.
So, like, 5 linemen. You lose 2, you have 3 other good linemen, you're still, like, those 2 other position players are going to be a little iffy. And, like, it could probably turn out to be how it happened to the Eagles.
And one thing I'm happy with what the Eagles did in the offseason is we've added depth to our line now, just in case, because all it takes is one halfback stretch run, and the running back falls on a lineman's leg. We see that from time to time, and he's done.
But let's just get back to the topic, though. Like, Reuben Foster, like you said, Ezekiel Elliott is in the NFC East, so we're definitely going to need that run stopper.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I think we can get with with Reuben Foster, which, like I said again, which I'm going to say it again, is like a Ray Lewis 2.0. And, I would definitely take him. And like I said, with the great front 7, it'll ease the pressure on our cornerbacks. And, our cornerbacks wouldn't get as burnt or as toasted as we would as we've grown accustomed to over the years. Mm-hmm. And I think if our corners can stay healthy, then we would have that good safety tandem where they're not going to get burnt down the field every time, because we're going to have that over the top help with our safeties. Yeah. And let's not get it twisted. Jenkins and McLeod, they're really good safeties, and that's a great safety tandem that the Eagles have. They just can't put it in part because like the last 2 years, we had to have Jenkins come down and play slot
corner, because
our corners can't stay healthy.
Yeah, or the nickel, whatever they call it.
Yeah, whichever they call it.
But no running back surprise. Like I'm in agreement with you on this.
I can't we discussed this earlier.
Yes,
can't take a running back in the first round.
A lot of people have said we should get Christian McCaffrey or Dalvin Cook, but history has shown that drafting running backs in the first round has not been good for the Eagles. The last time we have gone running back was in 1986, and we got Keith Byers with the 10th overall pick. And was he really worth the 10th overall pick in the draft? No,
not that I know of.
Like I never even heard of him. And I've been.
What year did he get drafted? 85, you said?
No, 86.
86.
And then we went in 83. Michael Haddix with the 8th overall pick, and he only played to 1990, and I think he only started 3 games. He only had 1,600 yards rushing in his whole career. So that's a bust for the 8th overall pick. So history has shown that drafting running backs in the first round
for Philadelphia
has not been good.
And I want you to hit the other thing we talked about.
Do you want me to hit it, or do you want to hit it?
It doesn't really matter.
You can hit it, because I already threw that one stat out there.
See, now, if the Eagles were to draft a running back in the first round, over history is shown, and history repeats itself, like you said.
Yes.
It's going to pretty much be a bust. That's one. Two, I don't really like Christian McCaffrey. I just think because he has great vision and breakaway speed, and like he's really elusive, it was really set him aside in college. And another thing that in college that you don't really get in the pros, in college in the pros, they're all in the NFL for a reason because they all have the talent.
I just think our scheme wise, like if Chip Kelly was the coach, I could see Christian McCaffrey fitting in our offense.
People even say he fits in this West Coast offense.
I don't really see him making a good fit for the Eagles because I see us more of getting like a power running back right now, only because we like to run the ball. Right, because with Chip Kelly, we used to do a shotgun offense, and we would just run like east to west. But now we need more of that north to south runner.
Right. And
I don't like Christian McCaffrey. I see him as a better fit somewhere else, but I don't see him as a good fit in Philadelphia.
Right. No, I agree with you. And if you look at running back history for Philadelphia, 3 running backs that come to mind and are really all-time greats for Philadelphia: Deuce Staley, LaShawn McCoy, and Brian Westbrook, which all players were not drafted in the first round. Deuce Staley was drafted in the 3rd. LaShawn and Brian Westbrook were drafted in the 2nd. And like plenty of people say in the draft, the running back class in this year's draft is heavily deep too. So you can find a good running back in the 3rd or 4th round.
Yeah, and I know we've had problems with like Joe Mixon saying that like we wouldn't really look at him, but recently there's been articles up about Joe. Is it Joe Mixon or Joe Nixon?
Mixon.
With the F and M. All right, just making sure. And the Eagles said they might actually give him a look.
I see it
in
like this.
The later rounds.
I see it like this. He's made mistakes, yes. He's had off-the-field issues, yes. But he plays with great first-round talent. Like, there's even been NFL owners and GMs that were interviewed, and they've even said when they went to his combine in Oklahoma, he played with first-round talent. Like, I believe people can change, and I believe he's a person that can change. He's made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. Maybe not as big as his, but you know, everybody can overcome these mistakes and become a better person. And I honestly, I would take him with my 2nd pick, and if he's available.
And we did take a chance with Michael Vick. When he was coming out of jail, a lot of teams were not giving him a shot.
He even gave us like 2-3 good years.
Yeah, he gave us a couple good years. And just to fact track you, Brian Westbrook was drafted 3rd round, 2002.
In the 3rd round?
Yeah, 3rd round in the 2002
so
NFL
it was
draft.
Deuce and Brian Westbrook in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
With McCoy in the 2nd round.
Yeah, McCoy was in the 2nd round.
Okay, I apologize. Pardon me, everybody.
That's all right.
But
I mean, you're close. I mean, the point has been proven.
Yeah, like we cannot draft a running back in the 1st round in the city of Philadelphia. It just hasn't panned out over the years, over our history. As you can tell, it just hasn't panned out. And you know, we find good running backs in the late round. And as we can tell, look at the last 3 running backs we've drafted in the later rounds. I mean, even when we had McCoy, they still drafted Bryce Brown. I know you remember Bryce Brown. He gave us like 3 good games when McCoy was hurt. He just had fumbling problems. Sent him somewhere else. He had the potential to be something in the NFL.
He just couldn't hang on to the football. That's what hurt him.
I mean, it gets like that sometimes.
And yeah, I just agree with you more. Like the last time we have gone linebacker was Marcus Smith, but
our last linebacker we took was Jordan Hicks.
Oh yeah, no, I'm talking about the 1st round. My bad. I forgot to say that before I was speaking.
Okay.
Marcus Smith was in the 1st round, 2014.
But Marcus Smith wasn't even all that good coming out of college.
He wasn't. That was just Chip Kelly.
Senior year,
that was just Chip Kelly being Chip Kelly.
Like his senior year, he only had 9 sacks.
Yeah. And
then prior to that, when did we ever hear of Marcus Smith? I didn't even know who he was when we first drafted him.
Yeah, now it's with the 26th pick, so that was sort of towards like the end of the 1st round.
So like that right there is just Marcus Smith. I mean, he did. I think he did like actually get better over the course of the season this year, but he did make a little bit of noise.
Yeah, but for the first round pick,
first round pick though, I don't. I can't see it.
Yeah, I can't see it either. So you ready to move on to our next topic, or do you want to?
Are we gonna?
Oh, just real quick before we wrap this up, if you guys are diehard Philadelphia Eagles fans and want to go to the NFL draft, me and my friends have found out a way to get passes, and I think it's free for the most part. You just download the app, NFL Fan Pass, and you just sign up online, and then they offer you a free QR code where they just scan it to you when you go to the live NFL draft. And it's easy, it's free, and you get to watch the Eagles draft live in Philadelphia. So just
I'll be there.
I'll be there too. Me and Dante will be there.
Yeah, we already got our passes.
They can come. We got our passes already. So I just want to hit that real quick before we move on. Now here comes another highly talked about debate that hasn't been addressed recently, but should the NBA draft expand rounds? Because in the NBA draft, there is just 2 rounds in the NBA draft, where in any other sport, I think baseball, there's more than 7. There's like 35. I don't even know. That's how many rounds there are. And the NFL, there's 7. Hockey, I believe there's 7. There's probably, I'll double check that later on the show. But the NBA draft, there's only 2 rounds. And with the salary cap increasing, instead of having a lot of players undrafted, why not make it a 3rd, 4th round where those players can either go to a D League on a contract if they're not good enough, and maybe, who knows, maybe you'll find talent in the 3rd and 4th round that will be starters in the NBA, because there's been 2nd round talent that have made huge impacts. Isaiah Thomas was the last pick of the draft, and look how he's turned out. He just dropped 33 the other night. And then Draymond Green out of Michigan State, he was a 2nd round draft pick, and he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year. In my opinion, should win Defensive Player of the Year. What he's done. So, do you think the NBA should expand to a 3rd, 4th round?
I mean,
just want to know.
I think they should expand it to at least a 3-round draft. The NBA, like, the 2 rounds will blow by quickly, and they do every year. But I think that with a 3-round draft, it'll definitely open up more space for more prospects, especially more overseas prospects. And even players that are like in college that, have like the potential, but they go undrafted because there's only 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And then there's so many teams in college and so many players that are in college that they don't even they just get outlooked by these players. And I think it'll definitely keep more scouts an open eye for like an Isaiah Thomas, who's like a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I definitely wouldn't mind to see the NBA open up one more round in the draft, so it could be like a 3-round draft.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big Sedarius Thornwell fan, and before the NCAA tournament, he was the SEC Player of the Year, and he wasn't even considered to make an NBA draft. He wasn't expected to make the 1st or 2nd rounds. But now we know that he's going to be maybe a late 1st round pick in the middle of the 2nd round because of his performance in the NCAA tournament. But I'm just thinking, he's the SEC Player of the Year, and coming into the NCAA tournament, he might not even be a 2nd round pick at best, might not even be an NBA draft pick. And it just got me thinking, I'm just like, the NBA should expand. We see all the other 3 major sports, if you count soccer, 4, in the USA, like the draft. They have more than 2 rounds. I think the NBA should expand and get 3-4 rounds in there, so it gives more players an opportunity to prove themselves. It gets more invites to the scouting combine and makes the scouting combine more important now. And the draft gets more hyped up because there's more rounds. You can do a 2nd day. You can do, if you expand more, you can do a 2nd, 3rd day like the NFL does it.
Yeah.
Or instead of it being just a 1-day thing, you can have it as like a weekend, or you can have it as draft weekend, which would generate
and
more
there's
money.
just so many, like in the NFL, there's so many players.
Yeah.
And it's just like in the NBA, there's just so many players. There's so many people out here, like men and kids that have hoop dreams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But can't really like fulfill it
Because there's only 2 rounds.
and only 2 rounds. Like there's so many people that have dreams of getting drafted. You know, but I mean, it's just because it's only 2 rounds.
Yeah, and a lot of them just go overseas or play in the D League.
Mm-hmm.
Which there's nothing wrong with that, but
In the NFL, I mean, in the NBA, makes a lot of money.
yeah,
Where I'm pretty sure they have the money to expand it
and they'll
at all costs.
and they'll probably make
more
money back because of the NBA draft.
Yeah.
You can and combine.
Yeah, I mean, like who isn't that? Like, come on now. Every time we turn around, like, and we hear people say ball is life. Every time we go out to the park, you see the little kids. So like little kids like out there practicing.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and basketball is like a very like growing sport in the world all around. And I'm pretty sure like they're gonna make more money back than more money that they spent.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't know why
basketball I think is growing to the point where it's going to start passing football soon. If they continue on the same growth, they're going to pass football.
I honestly think it is because
football's
the
going
NFL
down.
is the no fun league anymore. Like you can't have fun.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure we like to see, you know, players go back and forth 1-on-1 and see somebody get dunked on and then taunt your opponent.
Yeah.
And like we like to see things like that. Like it definitely like creates energy within the fans. And I just don't. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think they should expand it.
Yeah, I think they should expand it. It gives more kids opportunity.
I'm pretty sure more the fans will like it.
Yeah.
Just see more draft prospects. It'll probably open up more slots for people from overseas to come into the NBA.
And also, like, I think the NBA Development League needs to get some like hype too. It'll get them more hype as well. I just think it'd be a win-win if they expand.
Mm-hmm.
So just a quick question for everyone to say. You guys can comment. You guys can post whatever you want. What's your opinion on how the NBA is? Do you think they should expand? Just if you want to share a comment, post it down below, and maybe we'll respond. We'll probably respond to you and stuff like that. So,
Most likely we will.
Most likely
we will.
So,
but speaking of the NBA, we're gonna keep it with the NBA, as the NBA is probably the most popular sport right now, with the NBA playoffs going on.
yeah.
Last
and
night,
also the NHL playoffs too. I'll give a quick shout out.
I don't understand anything about hockey, so I'm gonna let you give the shout out.
Well, next podcast we'll have Jake back on the set, and me and Jake are gonna, Jake, and a little bit of Dante. If Dante wants to just
I'm
chime
gonna keep
in,
myself out the conversation.
we'll talk a little
just be
bit about the
too.
hockey playoffs
Mhm.
because there was an overtime victory last night. That was a great game where the the Toronto Maple Leafs were they're about to almost pull the upset, but they just couldn't at the end. The other team just prevailed, and we'll get to that next podcast. So all you hockey fans listening, we'll get to that next podcast. I don't want to give it away now. So back to the NBA playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy weekend again, another crazy weekend. And I just thought about this topic because I was watching the Jazz and Clippers series. Do you think, who do you think would give a bigger test to Golden State? Because you know the winner's going to win, is going to play Golden State in the next round. The Trailblazers, the Trailblazers have nothing. They're not going to come back. They're going to get swept tonight. Do you think the Jazz or the Clippers have a better shot of beating the Golden State Warriors in the next round?
Honestly, we've all seen the Clippers just cannot beat the Warriors, no matter how hard they try. I would definitely like to see a different team go at it with the Warriors and the Jazz. The Clippers, I don't know how many times I've tried saying that, I've tried believing it, the Clippers can win because they have the mismatch down low, but it just can't work. The Clippers really don't have anybody.
Yeah.
The Clippers, is fun fact out there, the Clippers have lost 10 straight games to the Warriors. 10 straight.
10 straight.
Okay.
And they get blown out every time, right? Have to be.
This season, the Clippers lost to the Warriors. The first game, they lost to them by 17. The second game, they lost to them by 46. The third game, they lost to them by 13. And the last game, they lost to them by 10. So, honestly, I've pretty much come to the expectation, pretty sure we all have. When the Clippers and the Warriors play, the Clippers just can't play with. They just can't run with them.
And they usually have someone injured when they play. And guess what?
Blake Griffin's
out. Rest of the playoffs.
So it's like now they just don't really have any hope. Where honestly, right now I see them losing to the Jazz in the first round.
Yeah, I do too.
And the Clippers are just now. I think it's time for the Clippers to just break apart, rebuild that team. Because honestly, you're not getting anywhere. I'm gonna discuss that in a little bit. Okay, but I would definitely like to see the Jazz go up against the Warriors. Like you said, they're a scrappy team. The matchups might be a little okay. Like I'm pretty sure, like George Hill is a good defender, so he'd probably guard Steph Curry. You know, okay.
And then Rodney Hood, he's very underrated. He hit the 3-pointer to seal the game last night.
Like honestly,
and then you got the big man Rudy Gobert, 7'2" in the paint.
Like honestly, if I'm a Clippers fan right now, I'm embarrassed.
Like they are every year.
But no, it's not. It's not that. It's
they just get hurt every single year. I've never seen this.
But it's not that. It's not that, Josh. It's the point that they lost to the Clippers. I mean, the Clippers lost to the Jazz without the Jazz's superstar player. Like, who else do they have? They have old man Joe Johnson.
Yeah, he was balling last
Yeah,
night.
he's like 35, 36 years old. Who else do you have? Rodney Hood. When was the last time he actually did something productive in the NBA? Rudy Gobert he just came back off an injury.
Yeah. Like they have good players, but not superstar players. Hayward only played 9 minutes the whole game,
and the Clippers still lost. And they have 2 superstars on that team, 3, but one of them got hurt.
Yeah.
Are you serious? Like honestly, I'm giving up all hope for the Clippers. All hope for the Clippers is just done. Honestly, it is. What more can the Clippers do? You can't beat the Jazz without their superstar player.
Yeah.
Early in the season, they can't beat the Warriors, period.
Mm-hmm.
Since Steph Curry has been drafted by the Warriors, they've lost 22 games to the Warriors within like 8 seasons. And they play like 4 games a year, right?
Yeah, they play 4 games a year.
So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
You just know
24.
When certain teams play certain teams, one of the teams like elevates their game. Like I look at that. Like when I look at the Warriors and Clippers, I look at whenever the Warriors play the Clippers, the Warriors elevate their game and just dominate the Clippers. I think with the Jazz are a very good defensive team. They were I believe top 3 in the NBA in defense and points allowed per game. So the Jazz, they have a very good, good defensive team.
I'm not trying to cut you off. How long has Steph Curry been in the league? Since 2009, he got drafted.
Yes.
So and we're in 2017. So what is that? 8 seasons in the league?
Yes, 8 seasons.
All right. So we're gonna do 4 times 8, so 32.
So 22 out of the 32 times they played.
So in 8 seasons, the Clippers have beat the Warriors 10 times in 32 games.
Yep. And they also lost in the playoffs against the Warriors.
That's atrocious. That's horrible. Like, I've lost all hope for the Clippers. I literally have. And I actually have some ideas that, who's the owner for the Clippers?
I don't know.
I don't know, but the owner of the Clippers might want to tune in to what I got to say in a second. I'm just going to let you finish first.
I mean, I think the Jazz would actually give the Warriors a good run because I look at I look at teams that play scrappy defense, like we see what Memphis has done, and we see the Jazz play a similar style. They hang in every game. They hang in there. Same with the Pacers as well. Even though the Pacers got swept, every single game, Cleveland had to earn it to win. And the Pacers should have won Game 3. I don't care what anyone says.
Honestly, the Pacers should have game 1 and 3. The series should be tied 2-2.
But LeBron elevated his game. It took LeBron.
Zero Dark 23 is activated,
Yes.
baby.
It
That's
took
all I gotta say.
LeBron to have an historical series to sweep the Pacers. But let me get back. The Jazz, they're a scrappy team. Gordon Hayward is a very good player, superstar player. He earned the right to be a superstar player.
Mm-hmm.
You have Gobert, the big center that is back from injury. He's 7'2", has like a 7'6" standing reach. So I think he would give Draymond Green and Zaza Pachulia a tough time down low.
Not only them, JaVale McGee.
And JaVale McGee too. Because he has that height and match them like with the height.
Mm-hmm.
And Draymond Green is not the tallest guy, but Draymond Green plays with a lot of heart. And I think Gobert will just use his size
A lot of height, energy.
Yeah.
And he's very, he's tough.
Yeah, Gobert would use his toughness and height to match Green, especially on the defensive end. And the Jazz, they like to slow the game down, too, as well. They play a very slow pace like Memphis does. And we've seen Memphis beat the Warriors twice in the regular season by using that style. And Memphis is just tied the series against the Spurs, so they're giving the Spurs a tough time.
I don't even think that matters, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know, but that scrappiness will get you a couple games in the series. I think
It will.
Whereas the Clippers, I just think the Warriors are just going to blow them out 4-0, sweep.
Yes.
Every single game. I think that scrappiness from the Jazz will get the Jazz 1 or 2 games, in my opinion. I think it will. And they'll give the Warriors a tough time. Durant has to play for the Warriors to win that series, in my opinion. The Jazz get slept on a lot. They get overvalued a lot. Like they're the 5 seed in the West for a reason. They have a very good system offensively, and their defense is one of the top in the NBA. So they have the pieces to give the top teams a good run for their money. They also beat the Cavs in Utah this year too. So that's a quick little fact I want to bring up. So now I'm ready for you to talk about what do you think the Clippers should do?
I think the Clippers, like I said, maybe like a minute or two ago, the Clippers should just break that team apart. Chris Paul and Blake Griffin are upcoming free agents. They can go to different teams. There's a couple of teams that I see on the rise in the West that can really use like one of their either one of those players,
Yeah.
and a couple of teams in the East that can really like use those talents. Talking to you about it, one team that can but besides like the big three in LA for the Clippers, excuse me. The only player that's still under contract is DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
And he's like the one that I really feel bad for because he committed to play for the Mavericks, but Blake Griffin talked him out of it.
I just think that's what he gets.
Who, DeAndre Jordan?
Yep. Because
but how do you figure?
I know, but you could trust Blake Griffin, but Blake Griffin has been injured pretty much every single postseason, even when he was on the team.
I see your point, but
when healthy, they are a very good team. They are.
They are, and they're very scary to play against. But they just, one, they can't stay healthy. 2, even when they are healthy, they can't get the job done.
Yeah. They just can't get over the hump.
So basically, I think it's time for that team to break apart. I wouldn't mind, like I said, did I say it last podcast? I'm not even sure if I said it last podcast. I'm pretty sure I did. If I'm like the Pelicans or something, that's one of the teams that I see on the rise in the West.
Yeah.
I would trade away my DeMarcus Cousins to the Celtics. You got to get the first round, the number 1 pick in return, and maybe like Jay Crowder. And I'll possibly if you were gonna spend all that money on DeMarcus Cousins, I want to see why you want to spend that money on Blake Griffin as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Blake Griffin is injury prone. He tends to be injured throughout the course of the season. Even in the playoffs, he can't stay healthy. So then some of that right there would reduce some of his salary cap. But if you're going to give a big money contract to DeMarcus Cousins, pretty sure you can do the same thing for Blake. So not only that, you're going to have Davis spend that contract on Blake, have Jay Crowder with the number 1 pick. You could possibly draft Markelle Fultz. So you would have
that sounds like a good team right there.
Fultz, Crowder, Griffin, and Davis. And honestly, I think the skill talent that Davis really has will really take a whole lot of pressure off of Blake Griffin. So Blake Griffin really doesn't have to put up the same 20 shots that he would have to. I mean, maybe around 15 to 16. Because honestly, I think the reason why Blake Griffin takes so many shots is because DeAndre Jordan is really only good in the paint. Like, he can't expand his range at all.
And Blake Griffin's also a highly underrated passer as well. That's one thing I will say about Blake Griffin. He can really pass the ball for a big man. Yeah. He's really good.
Mm-hmm. And so that's just like one option they can go to, you know, with Davis and Blake. The Pelicans, not the Pelicans, the Clippers can just start going to a rebuilding process now. You could just let Chris Paul walk. Chris Paul can, possibly go to a team.
He should go to a contender.
Yeah.
He needs to get to a conference.
Honestly,
finals.
I think a team that can really use the courtesy of a Chris Paul, because their point guard is retiring, is the Spurs. The Spurs can really use him. Tony Parker's going to retire at the end of the season. He even said he's going to retire. So now I think Chris Paul would fit great with the Spurs, and I honestly think that the Spurs are just a contender every year.
Yeah.
So they can really use him as their point guard, and how the Spurs are. They just have that system, and they don't pay anybody over $15 million. That's why they always stay great with their salary cap. So and I'm pretty sure Chris Paul will probably take that pay cut just so he could win a ring.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure
he's at the point now where he needs to get a ring.
He needs to get a ring. Like he's such a great player. Like he's gonna go down as one of the greatest point guards to ever play the game, and he really deserves that ring. So I believe like his talents and him playing with the Spurs, it's like a match made in heaven. It's like a match made like a mwah. It's a match made in heaven. They were talking about Mike Conley going to the Spurs, but he already signed that contract with the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so he's staying with Memphis.
He can stay with them. Another possible thing that I was thinking, but with the whole Celtics thing and the Pelicans thing, another direction they can go into, if the Celtics wanted to keep that pick, they can trade away like valuable assets to the Clippers for DeAndre Jordan. They need a big man, like a big presence.
They need a rim protector.
Like DeAndre Jordan, like when Blake Griffin isn't playing, he'll get you 20 rebounds a night on a consistent basis.
That's what the Celtics
he
need.
has done it, and he has proved it before. And a great point guard in Isaiah Thomas can really help.
Yes.
And another team, if he was to go there to the Celtics, and the Celtics wanted to keep that number one pick, which pretty sure they'll draft Markelle Fultz, but I think they should draft Josh Jackson instead. You can let's say like if I'm the owner of the Celtics and whatnot, I'm trading away valuable assets. Like you can have Crowder, Rozier. You can basically have anybody on the team, but I want the number one pick, and I'm keeping Isaiah Thomas. You can ask for anything else. I'll give you Horford. I have Kelly Olynyk.
He's okay. He's
a stretch four. But, I'm pretty sure he'll do damage with DeAndre Jordan down there. You can take Jay Crowder. I'm pretty sure the Celtics really believe that they have something with Jaylen Brown, who can be their three.
Yeah, they drafted him with the third overall pick.
They have so many guards.
So they better take a chance on him.
They have so many guards. They have, 4 guards? Smart, Thomas, Bradley, Rozier. They have 4 guards, which in my eyes is a lot of guards to have.
Yeah, and Avery Bradley, I believe, is a free agent anyway, so they might let him walk.
If I'm the Celtics, I'll try and keep him. I'll try and resign him.
Now, he's a really good defender for his height.
Yeah, so honestly, though, I think DeAndre Jordan would really fit great with the Celtics. And another team that I think DeAndre Jordan, the Clippers can really look to move DeAndre Jordan to, is the Washington Wizards, like you said earlier when we was talking about this. he can like go to the Wizards. The Wizards need like a paint protector, well, a rim protector. Pardon me. Somebody in the paint that can really make noise.
And
John Wall, who will give you like double-digit assists on a daily, can really fit great with him, like a great pick and roll.
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan is athletic. He'll bring athleticism. I mean, Gortat is a good center. I'm not going to put anything against him.
I'd rather have him come off the bench.
But DeAndre Jordan is so much like he'll bring so much more athleticism to the Wizards team. If he comes to the Wizards, I think the Wizards would be a lot better with DeAndre Jordan as the center instead of Gortat as the center. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. But so those are just like some things that like I can really like.
You can really see happening.
I would really
in the
like
future.
try see happening in the future. I'm just gonna give it a recap real quick. The Celtics, they can go for DeMarcus Cousins and trade away that pick, that number 1 pick, which they're protected, which they're almost guaranteed to have. We're not too sure yet. We don't know how the draft is gonna turn out. They could move. They can go in that direction, or they can go in the direction to get DeAndre Jordan. Like I said, to give another recap, I think it's time for the Clippers to break that big three apart, starting to go in the rebuilding process. Blake Griffin can go to the Pelicans, play with Anthony Davis, which would really give him a whole lot of pressure, a whole lot of pressure to give. Like Anthony Davis would take a whole lot of pressure away from him, and I think it's the same and vice versa because Blake Griffin, when healthy, is one of the scariest opponents to match up against. He can do it all. Like he has game. He really has like great game to him. Like he can be a point guard. He can bring the ball down the court. He has range to his shot, and he's a great dunker. Like we've seen him over the years, he's a really great dunker. So that's a move that can possibly happen. Or the Celtics, they can go in a different direction. I already said this. They can go on to DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah.
Or the Pelicans can try and make a trade for DeAndre Jordan to go to the Wizards. It might sound like too much right now, but once if the people that are listening really puts this together,
Dante told you so.
Can really, I feel like I'm saying too much as we speak. I feel like I'm saying too much, so it would be I just want you all to process this. Okay, there's many ways. Cause I'm just trying to be specific and detail it out, so then that way when the people that hear this don't get confused by what I'm saying. I'm just gonna recap it one more time. Okay. The Clippers should break away that big three.
Yes.
Okay.
I feel like it's time for them to go.
If Chris Paul really wants to win a ring, go to the Spurs. They're gonna need a point guard. Chris Paul to the Spurs. Okay. Blake Griffin. Okay. Now this is where I think the Celtics really play a big part in this one move happening. The Celtics would trade away that number 1 pick to the Pelicans. Get DeMarcus Cousins in return, but they're also shipping out Jay Crowder. Mm-hmm. So now the Pelicans will have the number 1 pick with Jay Crowder. The Pelicans can possibly sign Blake Griffin and draft Markelle Fultz. And the Celtics will be set. Now you have DeMarcus, Thomas, re-sign Bradley. You can move up Jaylen Brown into the 3 position, and you still have Al Horford. Yeah. Or the Celtics can go a different direction, keep that pick, and possibly make a trade with the Clippers to get DeAndre Jordan and still have the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
So I'm just recapping what I said so nobody doesn't get confused by what I'm saying.
All right.
So, whatever. If you have anything to chime in on.
No. I'm just letting you be great, Dante. Because
Thank you. I appreciate
because
that.
if these moves end up happening, Dante told you so. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Out of all of the moves that I really said, I honestly think the one that makes the most sense right now, because in some situations money is gonna really play out. I really don't know the money situation that's gonna really be played out within all of this. But one move that I really does make sense to me, and I'm pretty sure it probably will make sense to others, is Chris Paul going to the Spurs.
Yeah.
You're gonna make $15 million, cool. But then again, behind it, you could possibly go for a ring. You're trying to say that that lineup will be scary. You have Chris Paul as your point guard, with Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard, Gasol,
and LaMarcus
and Aldridge. That lineup to me is something scary.
And then their bench is the deepest in
and
basketball too.
They really do have a really, really deep bench. Like they have David Lee,
Patty Mills,
Ginobili,
Simmons,
Anderson.
Like their team is deep.
Deadman. So that bench is very, very deep. And that team that would be there would be very, very scary. Now, I'm not also forgetting, though, Patty Mills is a free agent at the end of the season.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, the Spurs, like, if I'm the Spurs, I would try and keep him.
Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. He's done so much for your franchise.
Yeah. And I think he's one of the deadliest shooters, like, in the game. Like, you could put him anywhere, and it's going in. It's going in.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Are we ready to finish it here?
Well, I just have breaking news. I've been looking down on my phone recently, and this happened while me and Dante were just beginning our podcast. Jabril Peppers was tested positive for a dilute sample at the combine. He was just notified at 2:37 Eastern today. So I think he's probably going to fall in the draft now. And Adam Schefter, of course, he reports everything. He gets all the news. He reported it. And Reuben Foster had the same, he was tested for the same thing. Apparently, Peppers and Foster both suffered illnesses before the combine. So they drank, I think they put this substance in their body and drank tons of water so they can heal up for the combine.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of the draft, NFL draft.
Just real quick before we wrap it up.
Yeah,
I just saw that.
Real quick,
breaking news.
Yeah, just real quick before we wrap it up, I got a question. What did you think about Sidney Jones after the injury?
I think Sidney Jones would be a second round pick.
You think so? Did we discuss this in the last podcast?
I feel like we talked about it a little bit in like a previous one, but I think I get what you're saying.
Like, would you like? Because the Eagles have a late draft pick in the third round, which like a lot of people like scouts and everything are projected him to go in the third round now.
Yeah.
Would you trade up in the third round? Because I believe in the third round they'll have the 22nd pick.
Yeah.
Something in the 20s. Because remember they made the trade with the Ravens for Timmy Jernigan, which moved them spots back in the third round.
Yeah.
So would you try and trade up in the third round for Sidney Jones?
I would take that. Yeah, I would take the chance on Sidney Jones. Sidney Jones is, I think, is one of the best corners in this draft. He just got unfortunate with his injury. And, I mean, I would take a chance on him. If he's hurt, he's hurt. I mean, it happens. It's part of the game. But maybe he'll recover and be the same Sidney Jones from the old. And for a third-round pick, I would take a chance on him.
So, I mean, honestly, I would. But I think the part will have to be, like, what are we giving up to move up to get him? Like, I mean, I wouldn't mind, having to give up, like, one of our fourth-round picks with a player, like Kendricks, a pick, and whatever else. Yeah. I think it'll depend on what we have to give up. Because then again, remember, what did he break? Like his leg or something like that?
Yeah.
So like that injury is a little scary. I mean, I did get into a debate about this with somebody. Like, would you take Sidney Jones in the second round or take Joe Mixon in the second round? I personally said Joe Mixon.
Yeah. But
they hit me with he has off the field issues. I'm like, I understand that, but like I said earlier in the show, people do change. And yes, he has off the field issues, but he played like a first round talent, and at his combine showed he has first round talent. Yeah. So it'll be a steal getting him in the second. Well, his pro day. I apologize. So it'll pretty much be a steal getting him in the second round.
Yeah,
like it'll be.
I agree. But real quick though, all these kids are starting to test positive for stuff. Like, I remember me and you used to talk about a lot of kids nowadays need to be careful of like what they're putting in their bodies, what they're drinking. Like, just stick to the water, stick to the basic stuff because.
I mean, but then again though, because remember, like, we do see because remember last season, I can't remember what player it was.
Because Jabril Peppers and Reuben Foster both drank the same thing, and now a lot of scouts are a little uneasy about.
Yeah, but remember though, last season they tried suspended a lineman, and like one of the drugs that is like prohibited from the NFL, like can't be used by the players, was in something that he ate. He said he like went to Taco Bell and got like tacos, and that substance was in the beef. which I mean he got suspended for it, but then
Yeah.
he what is that called
He appealed it.
he appealed it and he won the appeal because he showed the receipt and he showed everything else that it was actually in the beef. So it was not just sitting there actually shooting up the drug.
Yeah.
It can be actually something that you take without even knowing, drinking water like you said or eating something. You don't really know that it's in there. So like you said, you just have to be careful. And honestly, if I'm an NFL player, I'm keeping our receipts.
Yeah, just keep everything because Roger Goodell,
He's quick to suspend you.
he's quick to suspend you.
So I'm gonna wrap it
You
up.
ready to wrap it up now?
Let's get ready to wrap it up, bro.
But again,
Finish it off.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, show friends and family. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Swoop Podcast _. And again, post comments if you have an opinion about one of our topics today. And this is Josh and Dante signing off.
Swoop!
Swoop!